Welcome to Cosmic Comics. The first appearance of Squadron Supreme takes place in Avengers issue 85. The teaser on the cover of this issue is a misrepresentation meant to intentionally mislead the reader into believing the Avengers are up against Squadron Sinister, whom they faced off against in Avengers issues 69 and 70. I'll get back to them and that storyline, but not in this video. Our story opens after some shenanigans involving the Black Knight's foes, Archon and the Enchantress. Thor is in the process of using his hammer to transport the Avengers and the Avengers mansion from Polmachus back to Earth. At first, everybody is seemingly returned to their locations prior to leaving for Polmachus. The Black Knight returns to Stonehenge, while Thor and Black Panther return to their location across the street from Avengers Mansion. The two of them investigate the mansion, but cannot locate the remaining 4 Avengers. They'd love to spend more time searching for them, but they have already committed themselves to a Toys for Tots event and decide their friends will have to look out for themselves for a bit. Meanwhile, the 4 missing Avengers have reappeared in the streets of a major city. All of them appear as faded, ethereal forms. They look on in horror as they realize that they are on an Earth that is being scorched by the sun. Quicksilver points to a newspaper and informs everybody that they've been gone for a couple of weeks. Wanda uses her hex power and our heroes are once again teleported away. The Earth they arrive on appears to be normal, and the dates match up, so our crew heads off towards Avengers Mansion. Goliath notes that it was funny that the newspaper guy didn't recognize them. As they arrive at Avengers Mansion, subtle and not so subtle differences become apparent from the moment the Avengers walk through the front door. Nighthawk comes walking down the stairs, claiming to have installed the unfamiliar security device, and demands the Avengers clear out. Nighthawk bounces off of the vision, and Goliath recognizes him from when the Avengers faced off against Squadron Sinister. Nighthawk claims to have never seen Goliath before. He notes that he's outnumbered 4-1 and disappears into a hidden wall panel. The door closes before Quicksilver can follow him. Goliath attempts to punch a hole in the wall, but is stopped by Vision. Then Vision walks through the wall, opening the panel from the inside and pointing out that had Goliath punched the wall, it would have set off hidden explosive charges. The Avengers follow a tunnel to what appears to be the Avengers meeting room. They're shocked to see 4 super types already in attendance. The present members of Squadron Supreme are Lady Lark, Hawkeye, Tom Thumb, and Nighthawk. Vision suspects he knows what is going on, but before he can explain, the trash-talking and fighting begin. During the fight, a call comes in from Dr. Spectrum of Squadron Supreme, who conveniently leaves a message on a giant monitor. Vision and Quicksilver catch on that this is a different group called Squadron Supreme. The message that Dr. Spectrum leaves behind is that the rocket Brainchild 1 will be blasting off into solar orbit in 1 hour. The Avengers as a whole catch on to the fact that they are in some kind of parallel world where the destruction they saw a few weeks hence must have been caused by the rocket that is preparing to launch. The Squadron Supreme is invested in ensuring the rocket launches, so everybody keeps fighting. And fighting. And fighting. And still fighting. And fighting. Until the Avengers come out on top. They steal Squadron Supreme's plane and take Nighthawk with them, leaving the others behind. Once they have Nighthawk to themselves, they convince him of their story of Cataclysm, but he's worried because the most powerful members of Squadron Supreme are currently guarding the rocket. They all hope that the remaining members of Squadron Supreme will listen to reason as they think about the fiery death that awaits. The story concludes in Avengers issue 86. As our story opens, our heroes are headed towards Atomic City and are being observed by somebody with the hands of a child. Then the next 3 pages are taken up recounting the previous issue. At least the artwork for these pages is new, but this is very lazy writing and serves as nothing more than filler. The members of Squadron Supreme at the launch site note that the craft coming in is one of their own and investigate its landing. While Nighthawk conveniently has to stay in the plane to finish shutting it down, the Avengers try to talk some sense into the other members of Squadron Supreme by running towards them and screaming. Hyperion blasts Quicksilver, while Squadron Supreme's super-fast superhero Wizard pushes the launch button on the rocket. The Scarlet Witch uses her hex power, which holds the rocket in place. Squadron Supreme prepares to press the attack, but is stopped in their tracks by Nighthawk, who arrives and tells him to stand down until they are certain the rocket doesn't pose a risk to the planet. To discover why the rocket might pose a danger to mankind, they'll need to talk to the man who designed it, Brainchild. The Avengers haven't heard of Brainchild, and Dr. Spectrum fills them in on the details. Arnold Sutton was born of two parents who had both been exposed to excessive radiation. Arnold was ridiculously intelligent and was inventing world-changing technologies by the age of 4. In a desire to become even more intelligent, Arnold encouraged his brain to grow to a massive size. He wanted to be accepted for his intellectual contributions, but people remained focused on his physical nature. He grew tired of the abuse and demanded an island to himself. The U.S. government granted his request, where he retreated to design the solar orbiting research vessel, which was supposed to launch on Arnold's 10th birthday. A birthday he would celebrate by killing every living thing on the planet because of all the mocking and being called a freak. Holy shit! This guy is the Columbine story all over again, but 30 years earlier and on a much grander scale. Back on Earth 616, Thor, Black Panther, and Iron Man are using an interdimensional scanner in conjunction with Thor's hammer to try and find their friends. Meanwhile, Squadron Supreme and the Avengers are closing in on the Dark Tower, home of the Brainchild. As the ship lands, the Brainchild demands that they leave, but Dr. Spectrum insists that they have questions about the rocket that need answered. The Brainchild doesn't hold back and immediately confesses that it was designed to destroy the world. The ship was made of a special metal that would have caused a chain reaction in the sun, forcing it to go supernova. He doesn't mind telling any of them his secret because he doesn't plan on any of them leaving the island alive. Our heroes agree that in order to meet with success, they need to split up and come at the Brainchild's fortress from 4 different directions. Whizzer and Quicksilver are pummeled by boulders, which they got rid of by creating a living tornado. Nighthawk and Scarlet Witch are stopped by a hulking purple beast. Nighthawk passes out from the pain after being grabbed by the beast, and the Scarlet Witch can't remember what she was doing after being blasted by rays from the beast's eyes. The Vision and Dr. Spectrum don't have any better luck. They're attacked by a giant amoeba. A blast from Dr. Spectrum's power prism causes the thing to split into 2. The 2 amoeba quickly adapt to the heroes' powers, rendering them useless. Quicksilver and Wizard try to enter the building, but become stuck to the walls, which begin attacking them. Luckily, the strongest of the 4 teams has reached the inner sanctum of the building. Goliath is knocked in the head by a large piece of machinery, and Hyperion is attacked by a large electrified steel cables. Hyperion overcomes them, but the toll proves too much and he collapses. Goliath isn't out of the fight yet. He stands up and grabs a hold of Hyperion's feet. He then uses Hyperion's body as a projectile weapon. The resulting crash stops the Brainchild from being able to use his powers. Whether this is from brain damage or just being upset is not entirely clear. Either way, each of our heroes is released from their dilemma, and the Dark Tower fades away. The horrors they faced were all part of the Brainchild's mind. Dr. Spectrum then takes it upon himself to completely and utterly change the villain's physical form and mental abilities by reverting him to a 10-year-old boy with no memory of who he is or the events that transpired. As soon as things wrap up, the Avengers vanish and reappear in their own world. They recount the events that took place. Everybody is happy to be home with the exception of the Vision, who worries that perhaps they have arrived in yet another timeline, different from their own, but confesses that they may never know. It'll be another 4.5 years before Squadron Supreme once again graces the pages of Marvel and Avengers 141. I'll be there to cover it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to hit any of the buttons below. I'm out.